Dr. Derek Weber, theologian and pastor, writes, this season can still, this season, just as I was going to say, can still surprise us. This season can still surprise us. We might think we're ready. And I'm going to insert here. I don't know about you all, but I'm like, it's December. How did this happen? It's like it shows up every year, and I'm surprised. And I do want to say thank you to everyone that came yesterday and created this lovely space and got our sanctuary and our church ready for the Advent season. It's really gorgeous. So, as he writes, we might think we're ready. We might have been checking the calendar. We might have made plans and gotten some plans underway for some months now. And still, when the first Sunday of Advent rolls around, we have to deal with the shock. It can't possibly be this Advent season again. But let's be honest with ourselves. It isn't simply a matter of calendar neglect. It is that this season of anticipation comes in the midst of life and in the midst of all of life's messiness and fullness. We're wrapped up in so many things, getting so many things done, so many things right, that we can be surprised that the very thing we are planning for actually comes. This first Sunday of Advent, and let's pay attention to the preposition. It's of Advent, not in Advent. It's the first Sunday of Advent. Advent is not something we endure. It is something we become, something that we are. We're people who live in anticipation. We live in hope. It is the essence of our being. So on this first Sunday of Advent, we are heeding the call to pay attention. Our life is a life of fullness and joy, heartache and pain, but it is also a preparation for even more fullness. In our Wesleyan tradition, we call that fullness sanctification. Or even riskier, we say we're moving on to perfection. We prepare for eternity, for kingdom. And I'll insert here now, quite often now you'll see kingdom instead of kingdom. The whole idea of kingdom was to connect it to Jesus as our king, to bring people together in community. And yet there's been a movement to switch it from kingdom to kingdom, to remind us sometimes that it really is about all the people that have followed Jesus and come together in community. That the idea of kingdom comes together. So he goes on to write, we prepare for eternity, for perfection by living attentively. We might not really be shocked by the arrival of the season, but we are deeply startled by our continuing need to be reminded that we are called and we want to live in hope. Worship then in this season is an aid to preparation, a reminder to look up and get ready. In the hustle and bustle of it all, I invite us this next week to focus on hope. Where will you find hope in the midst of this Advent season? It's a different kind of thing for us Christians. Because while the world is focused on Christmas already, with the decorations and the shopping and the preparation for Christmas Day, our time as Christians is in this time of Advent where we're preparing for Christmas Day and the coming of Jesus. So as we move through this next week, I invite you to continue to look for hope. Hope in the midst of the hustle and bustle. Hope in the midst of the strife. Hope in the midst of the things that we struggle with, that we deal with, the frustrations, the anxieties. Where do you find hope? And when Dr. Weber wrote at the end, we're deeply startled by our continuing need to be reminded that we're called. He reminds us that this searching for hope, this commitment to hope, is intentional. For as we are called as Christians, it's up to us to be on the search for that. It may randomly find us. That is the beauty of miracles. And yet, what intention will we put forth so we are in preparation and we're looking? May God guide us through this week as we continue to prepare our hearts for the birth of Jesus. And may we live and be intentional by finding hope. Amen.